In this video we're going to go through the version 2 of the race guides, and in particular the horse form tab. So I have a race open from the 12th of March at Doncaster, and I'm on the horse form tab, and you can see first of all it's split into sections. We have sections for filters, trading data and horse form benchmarks, horse details, and then the horse form at the bottom. You can collapse the sections by clicking on the heading bars, and we'll do that so we can just concentrate on the horse form itself. If we scroll down to the bottom, displaying 20 lines of form at the moment, and there's 2 pages for this horse, so you can click page 2 or page 1. And you can change how many lines are displayed and set it right up to 200. There are lots of columns of fields on the horse form tab, and we'll go through each one in detail. But the first thing to note is on some of them there are tooltips. So if you hover the mouse over certain fields, you get a tooltip pops up. So on the date field, for instance, it shows you the full race name. And on the speed and par, it shows you what the class par speed figure for that race would be. And a very important one is on the position and how they ran, it shows you the in-running comment. So we start with the first field, which is the date field, which is of course the date the race was run. And it's then followed by the speed figure that the horse achieved in that race and the difference to the class par for that race. Positive meaning it was a better than class par speed figure, and you can see that if we hover over on this one, the class par for that type of race was 60 and it produced a 70, which is 10 above. Whereas on the next line, the class par for that race was a 62 and it produced a 41, which was minus 21 below the class bar. The next column is the pace column, and it's the early pace of how that race was run, and it will either be H for held up, P for prominent, or L for led. The next column is for draw, and all of these lines of form are jumps races, so there's no draw data. We then have an abbreviated field for course, class, race type, prize money and travelled distance. And if you hover the mouse over, you see the full course name, the direction of the course and the characteristics. The next field is the race distance, and if you hover over you can see the full race distance rather than the abbreviated distance. Next is going, and again if you hover over you can see the full going description. We then have weight and headgear. So this was blinkered first time, carrying 11 stone 10. The official rating, and then we have the finishing position and how many runners ran in the race, how far it was beaten and by which horse, and how much weight that horse carried. So in this instance it came 4 for 15, beaten 8 lengths by Bootlegger, who carried 11 stone 9. If we look at a winning run, you can see this one, it came first of 3 and won by 19 lengths, beating Shepherd Storm, who carried 10 stone 12. The next field is the percentage of rivals beaten in that race. So when a horse wins, it's beaten 100%, and this horse came 4th of 15, so beat 78%. We then have the jockey and the claim, and we then have the trainer's name and his benchmark percentage rivals beaten, which in this case is 55%. And then underneath we have 3 percentage rivals beaten percentages for the last 14 days, 28 days and 56 days. And these are colour coded based on a comparison to the benchmark. So you can see at a glance if the trainer is in better form than his overall benchmark percentage rivals beaten. The next set of data is the SP of the horse in that race, followed by any price movements that it had from the evening before, very early morning, and then mid-morning. And there's a colour-coded arrow between the prices to say whether it was going out or in. We then have some in-running data. So we have the Betfair SP and the Betfair Place SP underneath in brackets. We then move on to the I in play price for winners and ticks I, and the low in play price for losers and ticks low. Underneath are the in play I and low percentages. So on this run where it didn't win, we see the low price, how many ticks low it went from its Betfair SP, and then underneath the percentage low it went from Betfair SP. And if we look at a winning run, we see the I in running price, how many ticks higher it went, and then underneath the percentage higher it went. We then move on to the next section from C to W headings. And these are flags that help you see if this line of form was anything like today's race. So the first one is for course, and it has a green tick if it was at the same course as today. The second column, D, is form at today's distance within half a furlong either side of today's trip. It will show you the distance in furlongs and be blue if a longer trip and negative red if a shorter trip. The next column is class. It's the difference in class of this line of form to today's race. Blue if down in class and negative red if up in class. The column labelled G is form at today's going, and will have a green tick if it is the same going as today's race. The next column is race type, and there will be a green tick if it's the same race type as today's race. And the next column is number of runners. And it'll be a green tick if the number of runners in the race was in 25% of today's number of runners. We then have official rating. It is the difference up and down in official rating of this race compared to today's. Blue if higher and negative red if lower. And the final field in this section is the difference up and down in weight in pounds of this race compared to today's. Blue if higher and negative red if lower. Note that this whole section, from the Betfair SP to the weight difference, is colour coded either red, green or gold. Gold means in this race the horse trobbed. Green means in this race the horse dobbed. And red means in this race the horse did neither. The final section of fields, labelled R to PRB, shows how this line of form is working out. So for instance, since this race there have been 13 runners, 3 of which won, 6 placed, a win strike rate of 23% and a win and place strike rate of 69%, an AE which is actual over expected of 1.54. This final column is the percentage of rivals beaten for all these runners. The all section is colour coded based on the percentage of rivals beaten. The green is good, so the race is working out well. Amber is neutral, and red is this race is not working out well. So at a glance you can look at future form for any of the form lines for this particular horse you're looking at. In between some lines of form you can see notifications of changes, and we flag up 5 items. First time headgear, travelled a long distance to the course, returning from a break, a change of trainer, and gelded first run. In the preferences, which you can find under the cog icon at the end of the horse details heading bar, you can turn off all of these or just have turned on the ones you require. You could then click Save, go back to the race guides and refresh, and your changes will be displayed. So you can see on here there's 3 notifications of a layoff, a 211-day break, 197 and 56. So if we go to the settings and turn off return from a break, back to the race guides and refresh, you can see they have disappeared. And you can turn them back on again and refresh, and then they're back again. Columns on the Form tab can be sorted by clicking on the heading of each field. This is currently sorted by date in descending order. If we click it again, it reverses the sort order. Some headings allow you to sort on multiple fields, so we can sort by speed figure again to get the highest, or by speed par, or reverse the sort by par. Sort by pace, and on this field, for instance, you can sort by course, class, type, prize, or travel distance, ascending, or click again for descending. There are a lot of fields on this screen, and you might not want all of them, and you can edit them by clicking on the Edit Columns button at the end of the Horse Detail heading line. All of the fields will be displayed, and you can scroll along to see them all. You can move them by clicking and holding down on the little arrow button for the field and sliding it sideways. And you can hide them by clicking on the little eye icon. So let's hide all of the final 2 sections. And then we just click on Save. You can quickly go back in and press Reset Columns, and they will go back to the default settings, and click Save. And they're all back again. When on the Form tab, the Date column will remain at the end, so you can always see the date of the race. Well, that's the end of the Form video. There are plenty more videos to watch on the YouTube channel.